Hey everyone, welcome back. This is going to be episode 3 of the video game devlog for my Gacha game project. So this update, I'm going to do a quick overview and a summary of the things I've been working on most recently and do a quick update of the status of the project. I have a little bit more to share today because I've made some initial progress on the prototype. So I've set up a little bit of a playable demo with just the very first few interactions that are possible within the game. So it's not fully playable yet, but we have a little bit of something to play through today. I've also set up the GitHub repository, so I've been committing code to the repo. And then I also wanted to show a little bit of the Godot and the Visual Studio, go through the status of everything that I've been working on. So the first thing that I have here that I've already opened up is Godot. You can see here I've done another pass at the prototype dashboard view, the control panels with all the Godot control nodes for the UI elements. So lots of buttons on the screen. One of the main big additions is that I figured out how to add in progress bars. So they have a progress bar node type here that's made it very convenient for me to put in these progress bars to show any sort of automation like quests or automatic progress of in-game activity. So let's go through it. One of the main things that I did on the prototype is to flesh out what is available in the Gacha space here in the center. So I've added a couple of things. You see there's arrow keys or arrows at the top to show that we're going to be able to switch between different types of gachas. Rank and experience. So what I'm going to add here is the ability for the player to rank up and gain experience for pulling certain gachas. So as you play more of that gacha, that experience will go towards ranking up, sort of leveling up the gacha itself, and then improving the odds within the gacha when you pull it more times, right? So this is going to be one of the subsystems we're going to include for the gacha system so that players will see continual progress towards a gacha just by pulling and using it more often. That's going to come into play as the players, as a sort of like a sub progression system. I've reorganized the resources and materials system a little bit. So the way it's going to work now is that players are going to be able to generate a base material. In this case, Stardust. So I have a button here that says grind Stardust. Then you're going to be able to craft that into a higher tier material, in this case a crystal, and then spend that crystal towards pulling gacha. So instead of just having a gacha be a one-step process where you get the gacha and you open it, I've expanded it a little here so that there's multiple tiers of material crafting, material acquisition, and material crafting in order to get to your final goal of actually opening the gacha and then getting the contents and the rewards from the gacha itself. Then down here, there's the 10x gacha, the 10x pull, something you see in a lot of gacha systems that just make it a little easier for players to pull lots of units and get lots of rewards without spamming the gacha one by one, right? And then at the very bottom of the gacha section, I've added a presentation here that shows you the chance of getting a 5-star legendary reward. So in this example here, it starts out 2%. And then you can imagine as you level up the gacha itself, or you get more heroes and you increase your luck in the game, that chance is going to go up. I want to put it front and center there so that players know their current sort of luck level and how it actually applies to the gacha they want to pull. So as the player is going to flip through the different gacha options that they have, they'll see like certain gachas will have higher chances at getting a legendary, maybe a lower chance of getting a legendary for a new gacha they've unlocked later in the game. And then a couple buttons at the bottom. Exclamation mark is a little note for me to include a notification or a marker system to let players know that they have an action they can take. I've seen this used very well in other games where they put in a little exclamation point to draw the player's attention to something or new action that they can do. And then a little info button here to pull up a tooltip, probably to show the more information on the gacha, what the drop rates are, what's going to drop from the box itself. Then on the right side, I've added a little bit more to the quest area here. Underneath that are tracking labels. Godot uses text labels, so these tracking labels that print out numbers to update players, how much of certain resources or how much of a certain bonus level they have. And then lastly, on the left side here, we have the auto roll section. I've added in the progress bars. I've changed the context a little bit around here to be auto rolling prizes. So down at the shop section, the design has changed a little bit so that these prizes are going to be sold at the shop. So instead of a shop selling you the gachas that you're going to be pulling, the shop is specifically going to sell prize capsules and prize bags and prize chests, which are a slightly separate system to the central gacha system. So in the prize shop, all of these prizes I'm thinking are going to be directed into the auto rolling program up above. So when a player collects enough gold to buy a prize, they'll be able to select a type of prize. Say they want a capsule that contains a figurine. They'll spend that gold buying that prize, and then that prize will go straight up here into the auto rolling section that rolls prizes for them. So these prize capsules are going to take some time to open up. The player will be able to buy multiple sets of prizes and queue them up here in this auto rolling view, and then watch as they progress through opening up these prizes and getting collectibles from those prize boxes. So for prizes, we have chips, capsules, bags, boosters, chests, crates, tickets, RNG numbers and symbols. And then I would like to add in sort of an auto buy system to automate the prize shop itself. So the way I'm imagining this working is if the player just selects the auto buy, they'll be able to target that auto buy towards a certain prize type. And then as they earn gold, that gold will automatically be spent to immediately buy the prize capsule that they want, which will go up into the section up above, and then they'll just have to wait to open them. So if the player is really determined or has decided on exactly what type of reward they want, they'll be able to just turn on the auto buy system and let this make progress, kind of in an idle fashion in the background, and then they'll be able to revisit it and switch up their target whenever they want in the game. This auto buy system will basically spend down their gold, and in this way, the player can just focus on playing the central gacha game and then try to get gold generated from there. So that's basically where we're at with the updated UI. I've set up here a little Gacha game script or C# file that has been linked to a couple of the buttons here. So you can see like a test button, grind stardust button, and the roll gacha button have been linked, just these three. And got a little bit of functionality working to demonstrate. Let me just press play there to build it and then switch over to the game view. Oh, I don't have to switch over. So the game should be visible right now, right? So let's make this full screen like so. I can't tell if OBS is showing the entire screen or not. It looks like it. Looks like it is. All right, so this is basically a short demonstration of the buttons being pressed and the console information being logged. So basically what I have here are a few working buttons, grind stardust. And as you see, when I click the button, it prints out text straight to the output log here. So I hit the button, it says you found 1 stardust, total stardust is 1. So that's a very simple system. As I press the button, my stardust count goes up. I have been working on a bonus system to the stardust so that, say, every 5% of your clicks, you'll get extra stardust in the output here. But I don't think it's completely linked up and working yet. But I have been coding towards adding a little weighting system towards weighting towards those bonuses, and I'm going to be adding that in next. Forging doesn't work yet. And then the actual gacha here, it doesn't actually spend down the stardust yet. So let's ignore that stardust cost and just look at the output results of this button. So when I hit the 1x gacha button, it goes through a whole process of rolling a number from 0 to 1, and then comparing that towards the loot table that we've set up. And in this case, my first roll, I got an uncommon item. And yeah, so I've got an uncommon item. Basically, I rolled a number higher than 58, between 58 and 58 plus 25, which are the weights for common and uncommon. And then in this case, I earned 1 gold. In order to get a hero, I'll have to roll a much higher number. I think it's about a couple percentage chance of getting actual hero. And then my second roll, if you can see here at the very bottom, I rolled a 0.10, and that roll is low enough, under 58 percentage in terms of the percentile of the weights. So that was a common drop, and in this case, nothing was really gained from that roll. I'm gonna just click through a couple more times until I get a hero. I'm rolling all these low numbers. I just rolled a rare, so I rolled a 90, a 0.90. That was high enough to give me a rare item and just reward me 2 gold. Total gold is going up. I just rolled a super rare at 0.94, earning 5 gold, so total gold is 9. I do think that's 2% drop rate for that hero, which means I'm gonna have to roll quite a number of times probably to try to get that hero. I think at this point I really want the pity bonus to come in. We have a pity bonus idea of helping the player out with a little bit of a boost to their drop rate if the numbers get hard. Okay, I finally did it. Okay, so I rolled a 0.98, which is up in the 98th percentile above that. You can see it's a SSR. And here it says I summoned Alexa. Okay, so I got a hero character. My total hero shards is 1 as a total count of the hero shards. And my total hero count is 1. And my luck is now 1. So I have these really small updates, just text updates to let me know in the output here what is going on behind the scenes in the game and where my numbers are at. That's basically what I have set up so far. Like I said, I'm working on building out a weighting system that's more flexible. And my focus right now is really on this central area, this gacha core mechanic in the middle. So I'll be working on building out and connecting all these buttons so that they will be working in the prototype. Okay, these are all unconnected buttons right now, so nothing really happens. I did add a little test run button here on the top left, so that just runs through a couple of the functions to make sure that they're working. Right? So that was a little demo of where the prototype is right now. I'm going to switch over to VS Code. The Windows doesn't show up as an option here. Within OBS. I have code. Oh, it's just called code now. All right, so we're in VS Code. So jumping over from Godot into VS Code. We're just going to talk through the gachagame.cs file right now. And look at what we have set up and are working through currently. So it's basically just one C# file that I'm working through right now, setting up everything within this one file. As I work through the prototype, I will be refactoring as I go along and expanding on more and more classes and methods. But as it is right now, we're just linking all the variables, creating variables here for the incremented numbers, materials, heroes, and all the UI elements are linked here through this export definition of these buttons. So when I do that, the linkage shows up in Godot and I can direct the code to the actual node that's in the game engine. So we have all this filled out, and basically these are the methods that I've gone through and worked on. I've already showed you how they work, so we're just going to talk about what exists, right? So here's the method for roll single, which is linked to that roll button for the gacha, and I've commented here like what are all the odds for the roll, and then these are all the results. Some of these results just increment the gold that the player gets. The last one here summons a hero. As you can see, that's the SSR. That's the SSR reward. I'm working through generating Stardust here. So what I'm trying to figure out right now is how to pass through my weights as an array and then process those weights through a method just for processing those weights into an outcome, right? So I want all the weights and the outcomes for the rolls to be easily applied to every aspect of the game. And then I also need them to be very malleable so that with any modifiers like luck or levels or ranks or different tiers, anything that a player gets as they progress through the games and upgrades, I need this system to be easily modifiable with those bonuses so that I can apply them all layered on top of each other without fiddling too much with the underlying code, right? So it should be something that I can set up, that I can easily add upgrades and bonuses to as a layer on top. I was working on figuring out and just learning a little bit more about how to use Godot, how to spawn sprites, how to move positions of different objects on the screen, so changing their positions and vector positions, swapping in textures and assigning those to sprites. And that's pretty much it. This is one of the last methods we can go over here, just summoning heroes. It's kind of just set up as a simple switch case here and just pulls a random hero from the hero pool. So the idea there is that you're going to have a different hero pool per gacha. The player rolls. If they get a hero, then we go here to summon a hero, which selects which hero from that pool that they get. And then when we just played through there, we got the Alexa character. So that's basically what happened here. We rolled a random number and ended up with Alexa, and that incremented the level that we got with Alexa. That's it for the code. What else can we talk through? Let me close this. Oh yeah, we can talk through some of the inspiration and the research that I've been working on. I'm trying to close. Why? Okay. My OBS was stuck on a different window. So here, let's switch over to OneNote. And again, I cannot find the application in OBS. The application is called OneNote. I might have to pause here and figure this out. Be right back. Okay, so the moment I paused the recording there, it showed up with the OneNote option. Funny how technology works like that. So here, I'm just going to go through to wrap up this video with a little bit of a walkthrough of like the market research notes that I've taken. I don't think I've gone through this in the previous devlogs. I just wanted to talk through a little bit here of which games I've been playing and checking out on the Steam storefront to look at for market research, right? So I played through Magic Archery pretty early on, and I really enjoyed how that game was set up to be a very short experience. Had very straightforward menu and button and upgrade system. You can see a little bit of my learnings from Magic Archery in the prototype that I'm setting up at the very top, where I've tried to very clearly organize different features into menus and submenus. I also really thought the Magic Archery was a good balanced mix between an idle game and an incremental game. It didn't lean too heavily into one direction, because the way that it progressed was that your character would continually shoot arrows as the targets would show up. So there was a little bit of idle element to it, because the game would progress on its own in a sort of automated fashion. But the game wasn't fully an idle game, mostly because you could be fairly active within that 2-hour window of playtime with constant upgrades. And it didn't feel like the game really blocked you too long and have you wait too long for the next upgrade or next improvement that you could have. Another set of games that I played that I really liked were Dixieum and a game about feeding a black hole. I listed Click and Conquer here. I only looked at the store page. It looked like a fairly similar game to Dixieum, and in that it is inspired by Dixieum, and kind of it probably played out the same way. So mostly Dixieum is the game that I played through from beginning to end here. This was an interesting game because it had a mini game within the incremental game itself, and this mini game style concept was fairly successful, I would say. It got adopted in a lot of other games as well, like Nodebuster. Game about feeding a black hole is like this, where the upgrade system and the actual play system, the play space, is a little bit separate. So when you're playing the minigame, you can just focus on the minigame itself. Once that is over, you go back out into a separate mode of play, where you get to take all the resources that you've gotten and then apply that towards upgrades. And once you get those upgrades, you have to go back into the minigame itself, right? So it has this kind of a gameplay loop that goes between these two modes. What I really found interesting in Dixieum was that it had a hybrid approach of presenting these modes to the player. So the hybrid part of it was that you had the minigame, then you had the upgrades, but you also had an idle component to it where you would get passive collection of resources from the museum setup that you got, right? So once you play the minigame, you unlock the artifacts, you go back to the main screen. With these higher level artifacts, they just play in the background. They give you resources, continually give you resources as your museum, setup is already in place. You're basically selling tickets for people to come view your museum, and you get coins, and you get rewarded for just idling outside of the minigame too. Then just to quickly go through like what other games I was looking at, I did place a couple videos here of games to look at. I don't think I dug in very deeply in these, like Incredicer, Rock Island. I didn't dig in to actually play them, but I placed their trailers here. I think there's a lot to take from the incremental genre. Cookie Clicker, I've played a little bit of the beginning of to get a sense of early game progression and the way that scaling works with all the numbers that they have. And then here are some of the games that I've been digging into more recently. So last month I bought a couple games. Post-Apocalypse Microbe Lab was the main incremental that I picked up. This is a little Japanese title by the team that did Faerun. I think the studio name is Skipmore. A little idle game. I liked what they did here with the short narrative beats between collection elements. So as you progress and upgrade your tools, you get some narrative progress towards like what happened in the apocalypse and how your lab is progressing. Right? So you're kind of building out your world as you go along. There's a heavy focus on collection feature. So you're always collecting new microbes, you're collecting junk. So collection is like a core mechanic to it. So I really like that. And then it had like a EXP system and a coin progression system that sort of played together. So players, as you play through the game, you're at the same time you're increasing your EXP towards your kind of high level in the game, and then you're also getting coins towards upgrading. TBH, Idle Taskbar Hero, Orb of Creation, Inquisition, Scritchy Scratchy. I've been playing through a bunch of these to get ideas. And then in the Steam sale right now, so summer sale, I picked up All Hail the Orb, Tower Wizard, and Norp Apolog. So I'll be playing through those games to really get a sense of like what the benchmark is for like really good incremental idle games. So that's where I am today. Thanks for tuning in to listen about like my game devlog updates. Basically, I will be working continuously on mostly focusing on the coding at this point, getting that prototype fleshed out, getting all the buttons linked up. It's going to be a lot of work ahead of me, but I really hope that I can make continual progress and then come back here to update you all on where we are, maybe another week or two. So thanks for listening in. If you want to keep following my game dev journey, make sure to like and subscribe. I will be posting more logs as I make progress on YouTube, and then once I get a prototype out, probably share out some way for anyone interested to play the prototype and get some feedback from everyone.